Hi there, my name is Demonic Robots and welcome to Fatal Frame. This is an old school survival horror game where you use a camera as a weapon in order to fight against ghosts. This is a fantastic speedrun, and we're going to be taking a look at it here on the Xbox version. The reason we're doing the Xbox version instead of the PlayStation version is because the Xbox version runs a little bit differently. It actually has a faster game speed, meaning that there's a few changes. The biggest one is going to be the movement speed with the characters that we control. They're actually going to be moving a little bit faster than they do in the PlayStation version. Along with that, it also makes the ghosts that we're going to be fighting against move faster and differently. So it's actually a very different experience when you're running the two versions. Right now we are playing as Miku, who is a character that is basically for only the tutorial, but he is very important in the plot line, as the character we're going to be playing as later on is going to be searching for this character we're playing as right now. Essentially, the reason he is here is he is searching for that ghost we see, who is Professor Takamine, who has gone missing, and we're basically trying to find out what happened to him and a couple more people that he was with. This is our first ghost. We're going to be introduced to one mechanic called quick shotting. Essentially, if you time it correctly and you actually get in with vicinity of a ghost attack, you can actually activate your second attack early on. Normally there's a charge down period where you have to wait to actually attack the ghost. However, quick shotting allows us to bypass that in certain animations. As you can see, this is a very fast area to go through already. That ghosts take only 2 shots from it thanks to the quick shot. Some of them are going to be a little bit harder. A lot of them are going to be a little bit longer than that and take more hits. But there we go, that is Mifuyu's section done, and now we're going to be moving on to play as Miku, who's going to be the character that we control for the rest of the game. As you can see already, she moves much faster than Mifuyu, and this is much faster than she actually does move in the PlayStation version. So it's a very different run, but it actually is definitely a much more fun run in my opinion, because it's a little bit harder to do all the techniques because you don't have as much time to actually execute them. And along with that, the ghosts are much harder to fight because they move faster and more erratically. It's a lot more like they're moving around like flies, and you're essentially trying to swat them down with the camera that we just grabbed right there, the camera obscura. This is a very cool game. I'm not going to be going over the plotline too much, however, but it actually has a relatively good story. And the very cool thing about it was at the time there weren't very many Japanese developed horror games that actually took place in Japan. Most of them favored Western settings, and this was one of the things that they tried to change with Fatal Frame. So we're going to be seeing apparitions. Now, our camera is not just a weapon, it is also a tool, and something that we can use in order to capture what I like to call spirits. And that essentially shows us an image of another location, or it gives us a hint as to how to solve a puzzle. The hint right there was that there was actually a door behind that screen. Now, you notice that I kind of tried to avoid that blue ball. Essentially, if we hit one of those, we do get a cutscene. There are a few that are mandatory, but there are a couple that we can skip, like that one. I have to be careful running through that hallway, however, because I definitely can run into it again later on. I also picked up Type 37 film right there. There are a couple different types of film, which is essentially our ammo for the camera. The most that we're going to be using is the Type 37 or green film. This default is the blue Type 14, and the red is the powerful Type 71. That's going to be a majority of the ammo we're using through the run. So we're going to run it into our first real ghost as Miku. This is going to be Koji. He has one of the easiest kind of fights, and it's basically just run up to him, wait for him to give us a fatal frame opportunity, meaning he's about to attack us, and then we take a shot when the circle turns red. That's going to allow us to one-shot him, and it's also going to give us enough points in order to upgrade our character, because we are actually able to upgrade our camera throughout the run. We're also going to take the opportunity during this section to actually swap over films from the Type 14 to the Type 31. So there's a lot that's going to be going on in this run, and because it is the Xbox version, I'm actually going to be going over things a little bit more quickly in order to not run out of time, because in comparison to the PlayStation version, once again, we don't have as much time in order to go through everything. A good majority of the fights during this run are going to be mandatory. We don't actually do any optional fights. The good thing about this, though, is that there aren't any random fights that are going to be blocking our path. That one right there, for example, is not one that we actually have to do, so we're just going to run past and not do it. Sometimes these are semi-random, where we will have to get very lucky and have a lot of skill in order to avoid the ghosts later on. So one of the mechanics you're going to notice is I took a picture of a drawer, and it actually gave me a hint of the location for the red mirror. That's going to be a very common feature in this game. Sometimes you have to take a picture elsewhere instead of getting an item, but in this case we have to find the red hand mirror to unlock this dresser. This is going to spawn in the next Koji fight. And we're going to do a little bit of a manipulation. We're going to get him here, and we're going to try and do a quick shot on him again. There we go. As you can see, it activated before the blue orbs actually spawned over to our camera, which is normally where you would actually know what to do. And that is going to be Koji down. So sometimes we will be fighting ghosts multiple times. Sometimes we only fight them one time. It really just kind of depends on the ghost. But they all do have their own separate animations, attacks, patterns. You actually really have to get to know each individual ghost and the best patterns that they give. Even the quick shotting timing is actually very different between the variety of ghosts that are in the Himuro Mansion. So while the quick shotting technique might work on one character, it might work differently on another because it's based off of essentially the attack animations and the attack range. Another common thing that you need to be careful of when you're running this game is not getting confused with backtracking. This game is very much backtracking heavy, meaning that we're going to be going through the same areas multiple times. The way that this works is the game has multiple nights that it takes over, or takes place in, and the mansion will change between the multiple nights. So that means that we're going to be having to go through new doors or new areas, or one door that was open is going to be locked now. Things like that are going to be very common during the run. So the story right now, though, is basically Koji and that spirit that we just saw was Tomoe. They are assistants for Takamine, the professor that our brother was searching for earlier. Now we're into Long Arms. That's actually his canonical name. He's actually one of the easiest ghosts to quick shot, making this a very easy fight. The ghosts have very interesting designs to them, and again, they have very different patterns, so a quick shot for him was easy because of the attack range and another variety of different reasons. But now we're going to get a bit of a lull right now, so I can actually explain one of the main things that I like to do that most of the other runners don't, and I will usually swap film in certain areas in order to take pictures to not waste it. The route that we're going to be using isn't very ammo tight, but we only can pick up 2 backups. Every single other film piece really just is a little bit too far away for us to grab comfortably in the run. So you do have to be somewhat careful with your ammo. However, the blue ammo is not really something that is used even in, some of the lower class fights. So because of that, it's very good to actually take photos when you're low on ammo from the Type 31. Unfortunately, you cannot change ammo on the fly. You have to do it during a menu change, and the menu changes, or the menu timing does count towards the IGT, which is the timing method that we use to time our runs. So here's an example. We took a picture of that door, which showed us this location, and then we take a picture right there, and what that's going to do is it's going to unlock the door, essentially burning whatever evil spirit ghost energy was holding it shut. Also going to take the opportunity to grab the Type 37 film, not the Type 31. It can be very confusing to remember all the numbers. I usually go with it as like blue film, green film, red film, and white film. We didn't talk about the white film too much, but we really only use it in the very last section of the game, so it's not really something that we're going to be dealing with for very long. I also do want to mention that one of the cool things about this game is that you can basically hold the run button and your character will run automatically in that direction, meaning that for the most part you just need to make angle changes on your controller in order to change where you're going. This is really good, especially when you're doing a lot of runs of them in comparison to like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, where you have to hold the analog sticks the entire time. So that's like one of my favorite features about this game is you can basically just hold the run button and you really just only have to hold one button to go into a specific direction, which is really, really nice. When you're doing a lot of runs, you can just kind of let your hands have a break. But right now we are essentially trying to unlock a couple of these doors in order to continue on through the mansion. That's going to be the biggest theme, is essentially us trying to open doors to get into more locations. And there's always a different couple of ways in order to do it. There we go. We took the picture that it showed us in the original photo that we took of the first door as we came outside. And that is going to take us, or that's going to unlock it. One thing about the combat I should mention is that it's based off of where the ghost's head animation is. So we're essentially trying to shoot the ghost in the head with the camera, meaning that if we don't have the camera in frame, it will not charge up. The charging up is based off of time and range, that's how much damage you do, and if you do not have your charge on it for like too long, they will start to fade away. That is actually exclusive to the Xbox version. I don't think it happens in the PlayStation 1. Or at least it does happen faster on the Xbox One if it is on the PlayStation. But here we go, we have a quote-unquote boss fight with a crawling girl. This is one of the harder characters in order to get the quick shot on. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. No, okay. We also sometimes get slowdown here, which is really bad. For whatever reason, the Xbox version on the OG console, which is what I'm running it on, does occasionally get weird slowdown, which I don't really know why. Oh, come on. Oh, whoops. I just realized I'm on the wrong film. That's why it's taking so long. There we go. So I was actually on the Type 14 film because I forgot to swap to the Type 37. Normally that fight would be much quicker. But slowdown is something that happens in a couple of very specific areas and a couple of random ones as well. I don't really know why, because this actually isn't a thing on the PlayStation version, which you think would be, you know, the weaker console, but I'm not too sure. Alright, so we're going to walk over that way. What we're actually doing is we're spawning in a ghost. The ghost will actually lock the door on the other side that we need to go to, but it doesn't lock this door. So if we just go into this room, it'll despawn the ghost and we can move on without having to fight it. This is really nice because it probably saves like 20 or 30 seconds of actually having to fight the ghost. And if everything goes well, the ghost that spawns shouldn't be a ghost that we have to fight for the entirety of the run if we get good RNG. Here's another one of those points. It especially happens when we get these like kind of little, what I call ghost hints spawning in. I call them ghost hints because what they're trying to do is they're trying to lead you down a specific path or kind of show you the way and give you an idea of where you're supposed to be going. We've already seen a couple of these, but that's an example of one that actually slows down the game. Another thing you're going to notice is I like to take really wide angles and turns. That's for a very specific reason, in the fact that this game doesn't have very good hitboxes. It's like a bad fighting game character where the hitboxes for the actual objects and items extends farther out than what their visible texture actually looks like. So because of that, you can get stuck on walls really easily that should be completely smooth. You can get stuck on like steps and stairs that you shouldn't be because your character's walking into nothing. It's a very common thing that you kind of just have to learn where it is and isn't for the run. And try your best not to run into them as much as possible. I will mention that there are a couple of jump scares in this game. We've already seen a few of them. Thankfully, the OG Xbox version actually doesn't make the jump scare noises as apparent as the PlayStation version, but they're still very common. I can't really call out every single one, mostly because I'm kind of just very immune to them at this point, since they're not random. So I will try and do my best to do it for some of the bigger ones, but I just want to give a fair warning for the rest of the run. If you don't like jump scares, there are going to be a couple of them. But here we go, we're on to the next fight. This is one of the easiest ones, and it's the first phase of Tomoe's fight, basically. She's one of the few ghosts that actually has a different attack compared to her PlayStation one. There we go. In the PlayStation version, her tell is what I like to call it, is her body kind of slumps and then she spawns to the right of where she slumps and then flies at you. On the Xbox version, she just slumps and flies straight at you. So that's one of the differences between the Xbox and the PlayStation runs that you kind of just have to get used to. Here's the second wheel puzzle as well. These are really, really common. Fun fact, these are actually, I believe, Japanese characters. I'm not sure what language they are, but I think they're Japanese on the PlayStation version. However, for the Xbox One, they decided to make it easier, which is why they're English numbers. Here we go. We're going to try and get our second upgrade for speed. Speed is a really important one. It doesn't make us go faster, but it does make our camera charge up more quickly, which is really good and actually saves a lot of time during the run. All right, here we go. We have Tomoe 2. This is actually kind of the very first, like, very hard fight. I'm going to kind of concentrate here for a second just to make sure everything goes well. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So she tried to attack me there, but I got very lucky with the hit, so we ended up stopping it. I want to mention that Tomoe is the Professor Takamine's assistant. So that's how she ended up here. And as you can guess, for Takamine, Koji, his editor, and Tomoe right there, it didn't end very well for them. But we are coming up to the last boss of the first night. There are technically 5 nights: intro, night 1, 2, 3, and the final night. But it's more so just basically chapter 1, 2, and 3, because the first night and the last night don't really take too long to beat. Here we go. We're gonna pick more film. We're also gonna pick up the stone mirror. The stone mirror is basically your 1-up. You can only carry one of them, but if you are going to die, the stone mirror essentially gets absorbed instead, and you get a full health bar back. We want to save this for the entire run and not use it before the 3rd night. So we're going to be a little bit careful. Another difference is for the Xbox version, you actually get a sacred water, which is essentially like a first aid spray, a full healing item, for free compared to the PlayStation version. But here we go. This is Takamine. He's actually one of the kind of gatekeepers for a good run or a bad run. He likes to kind of mess around and have very interesting patterns, and his patterns are much different on the Xbox version in comparison to the PlayStation version. So right now we're not getting a very good pattern. Here we go. He's starting to do some damage to him. You can quick shot him, however, it's much harder to do than what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to get him down as much as I can. And there we go. Not too bad of a fight. We did take a little bit of damage, but the night is about to finish. So because of that, I'm not too worried, because after every night, you actually get a refill in your health. So I want to be careful and not use healing items unless I need them, because we're going to get our health refilled 3 more times throughout the run. So we're going to grab a puzzle piece right here. The puzzles are actually relatively easy. They're not random whatsoever, which is really nice for the speed run, so we're not going to be solving things like on the fly. This run definitely would not be as good if that was the case. There we go. Alright, so now that we have unlocked that, we're going to find a piece of a mirror and get attacked by a ghost. We're actually going to run into the ghost, but we somehow don't die. We do learn of a character named Kyrie, and that apparently there was a ritual that went wrong. We are starting to suffer the effects of a curse, however, and it is implied that if we do not solve the mystery, the curse will kill us. So now the rest of the game is to not only find our missing brother Mafuyu, the guy from the very intro of the game, but we're also going to be trying to stop the curse and save ourselves as well. Again, that was another one of the not random ghost encounters, but one of the optional ones. And again, we don't need to fight them, hopefully. Unfortunately, this one is not random. We're going to be facing Long Arms once more. In this area, he likes to like do really weird stuff very often. However, it makes it really easy to quick shot him. He's actually probably one of my favorite kind of bosses or ghosts to fight in this game. Just for the simple fact that like he can do some weird stuff, but it makes quick shotting him really easy and really cool looking like that. Right now we're just getting another door open to go fight the girl in the well. Essentially, the knights are following the rules of a ritual, and right now part of that ritual is something called Demon Tag, where the winner of Demon Tag is essentially chosen for the ritual for a special purpose that I can't remember off the top of my head. I think either they become a blinded shrine maiden or they become one of the sacrifice victims. It's not really a good thing. It's not a prize to win at Demon Tag. I will mention that. So as you can see though, the map has changed a little bit. Like for example, this door is locked once more with a new solution. There. And it's actually kind of funny because the solution is different between the Xbox and the PlayStation version, but essentially on the Xbox version, it's the PlayStation solution, but mirrored, which is kind of a weird thing. Here we go. This is actually one of the hardest ghosts to quick shot if they don't do a very specific pattern. So we'll see what we get. Alright, we didn't get the pattern, unfortunately. Not too big of a deal, though. Oh, look, with that, we got one. Nice. Getting one right there is actually really good and kind of difficult to do, so I will take that. But that's how you can tell the difference between a really good Fatal Frame runner and a decent one. I would still consider myself decent. I can do quick shotting sometimes, but if you look at someone like Maxi Lobes or Alien, they can definitely get those very consistently on a good majority of the ghosts, and it speeds up a lot. But now, right now, we're collecting a couple of carvings in order to get to an underground section. We got a little bit of time before the next boss, so now would be a pretty good time for donations if there were any. Alright, so once again we're going to be running into the blinded maiden ghost. We're going to be fighting her a few times actually. She's one of the ghosts that we fight the most. While you're being chased by ghosts, they can still do damage and grab you, like that. Like you can see she almost grabbed me. It's actually kind of, you don't mind getting grabbed very often because they don't do that much damage if they do these small attacks on you. But if they are going to grab you, you want them to grab you while you're in the middle of that door animation. Because if they do less damage and they don't actually stun you with the animation, they just hit you. Whereas if you're just walking like this normally and you get grabbed, you will actually like not only be stunned for a few seconds, but you'll take more damage and you'll have a animation where she's like kind of clutching her in her chest and she moves slowly for about a second. So it's kind of random whether or not you get grabbed. You know, we can basically just beeline it and hope for the best. you can't really do much more than that to avoid ghosts without doing like a significant, you know, loop-de-loop where you'd be losing more time than just getting grabbed. Also gonna grab more film. We grab a lot of Type 37 film, but we don't grab that much of the Type 14 film. So we're only using the Type 14 film, which is the really powerful film, on very specific enemies and locations. And most of those are going to be on night 3, with one exception on night 2 here. But the main theme of every single Fatal Frame game is a ritual gone wrong. Once again, I don't want to spoil the story too much, but right now we are heading to a ritual site. But essentially, the goal of this ritual is to stop the underworld from basically coming into our world and taking over. We're gonna get a cutscene here. It's also important to mention that, like, this is a run that is actually very, very difficult, where you are going to be doing a lot of things throughout the entire run. These ladders, though, are a godsend. They are very slow animations, so this is the point where you would grab a drink and take a sip. But yeah, so we're heading into this spooky little mining cavern thing. I'm not too sure. And we're doing this to grab some matches. Oh, whoops. That's a very common thing to have happen. Alright, so we're going to do a fatal frame, which is basically going to be blocking them. Something that you'll notice is that in the bottom right corner, there is a light. That light is actually really good because it will tell you where the ghost actually is, based off of the general direction that Miku is looking in. So you can kind of just do a 360 as Miku, and it's kind of like a game of hot and cold. There we go, we got the matches. And what these matches are for is allowing us to unlock the old area that we actually came into the house originally from. Only now we're going to be doing some new stuff in those areas in order to unlock more places. But once again, there is a lot of backtracking in this estate. They try and make sure it's not that monotonous, and they try and make it, you know, fresh and interesting. But that was one of the main criticisms of the game when it came out, is that it used the same areas way too much. Alright, looks like we got a ghost spawn, but that should be okay. Most of the time when you get random ghost spawns, they don't follow you for more than 1 or 2 rooms. So if we come into this room, there is a save point. It'll actually tell us if the ghost is chasing us still, which it's not. If that blue light was red, then yes, they would be chasing us. Here we go. This is another backup film that I'm grabbing for marathon safety. So far, our film consumption has actually been really good. There we go. So we're gonna grab the scroll that's gonna spawn in the blinded maiden. Again, we run into her a lot during this run, so hopefully she doesn't hit me. Maybe. Oh no, that was really bad luck. Yeah, as you can see, this animation is really slow. We don't really want to take too much damage. I grab a lot of backup items and healing, so it's not that big of a deal, but you know, it's preferential to not take that much damage. Go. Only be one more hit, maybe. Perfect. Not the fastest fight, but I will take it. Alright, now we are coming up to one of the weirdest ghost fights. It's basically a boss, but it doesn't really, you know, feel like one. That's kind of something that's very common, is essentially all these enemies are kind of mini bosses, technically. But this one is called Clock Boy. Clock Boy is absolutely terrible because he's kind of a trickster. He's not going to be directly going towards us, he's going to be trying to hide and sneak up on us, and that can make him very dangerous. I'm also going to come over here, and we're grabbing our very first case of Type 74 film. This is the film that's essentially kind of like the sniper rifle of the game. It does a lot of damage, but it's very rare. So we're only going to use it when we have specific bosses to fight against. So hopefully this fight goes well. I might go a little bit quiet because I'm going to be listening for audio cues. So we'll see how this goes. Go. Alright, that was not a terrible fight. That was actually some pretty decent RNG that Clock Boy gave us. Sometimes he could be much worse. He was a little bit slow because he did his delayed spawn where he tries to jump scare you from behind, which is frustrating, but now we have another mirror piece. That's going to be the main goal, is to get all of the mirror pieces in order to rebuild the Holy Mirror. And that's what we're going to actually use in order to defeat Kyrie, who's the main kind of ghost lady that we saw at the end of night 1 that makes our screen gray and kills us in one shot. I do want to mention that this game has no continues, so if you die for good. And Kyrie can one-shot you. Thankfully, the only time that she really has a realistic chance of doing that is going to be on the very last fight. Which, if a run dies there, it sucks, but thankfully in a marathon setting, that wouldn't be the most absolute worst thing in the world. But the run is definitely really safe, especially with the healing items that we grab. And along with that, if I was getting this into a marathon, I definitely would have backup saves at the most important spots. Another jump scare. Again, thankfully these are a little bit quieter in this version of the game. For whatever reason, they are much louder in the PlayStation version. Well, we're coming up to the next Blinded Maiden fight. I would say this one's actually a little bit more dangerous than the other ones. It typically does like to go for an attack here. I think she's gonna hit me. Yeah. It's kind of fine. I might actually let her hit me again. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna let her hit me again, because it's going to use that stone mirror that I was talking about and heal me completely. But don't worry, there is a reason that I'm letting her do this. So you're probably wondering why I allowed her to essentially kill me and take my very, very important one-up. And the reason for that is you only get access to like 2 of them, realistically. And we're about to grab the next one, so if I just kind of let her get rid of all my health right there, then basically I can get a free heal. Since you can only carry one at a time, if you pass this one right here, there really isn't any more backup stone mirrors for the rest of the game. So instead of using one of my sacred waters or herbal medicines, I just grabbed that one, and there we go. We basically got a free heal. So right now, we're going to be preparing for one of the first kind of really hard boss fights, Yai, who's actually referenced in Fatal Frame 2, funny enough, if you played that game. I won't say how, because I don't want to spoil the entire series for people, but Yai is a character that is in Fatal Frame 2, which is very surprising, probably to a few of you. There we go. I'm going to get out of that room. We will not see that until the final night. But yeah, I'm also going to give a warning here. There is going to be a jump scare coming up in about 30 seconds-ish. It's a very loud noise one too. It's not that scary in-game, but fair warning. Very spooky. Also, that is a very common thing where all the characters talk really slow like this. I don't know why. It really bugs me. It reminds me of that Burger King foot lettuce meme, the way they get the characters talk, but what can you do? Alright, so this isn't a random spawn that Ghost always spawns there. It is an optional one though. The Broken Neck Woman is pretty much an entirely optional ghost except for one area. She's very hard to avoid in this area though. I do hope that she doesn't grab me. Okay, we're good. Once we get into this room, we should be safe from her, unless it glitches out. Sometimes, even though they're supposed to despawn, they glitch out through the wall anyway and hit you. It's happened to me once, and it's not a fun thing to have happen. Here we go. We're going to swap over and get our final upgrade in the speed. Perfect. We want to get it before this fight because this is actually one of the harder ones. She moves around very erratically, she has a lot of HP, and she can do a lot of damage. So once again, I will be a little bit quiet here because this is one of the harder ghost fights to actually battle against. She's also very difficult to quickshot, but it saves you a lot of time if you can get 2 or 3 of them, which is kind of rare. Nice. One thing that I like to do is do sometimes quick shots to immediately finish off enemies like that. And the way I time it is based off of the little blue orbs that go from the ghost into your camera. You can kind of fire a little bit early in order to do damage before that. It's a very weird little timing. It's something that you kind of have to start to get used to, but yeah. So yeah, that fight went really well though. I'm very happy with how it actually turned out. Alright, so now we're actually coming up to a relatively kind of chill part of the game. We do get a little puzzle here, but again, you know, it's the same combination every time, so it doesn't make it very difficult. If you've ever played Kuon, this section really reminds me of that game. But yeah, we're going to be running and doing some stuff for the next boss fight, so now would be another good time for donations. Oh, looks like we got a ghost spawn, but we should be able to run away from this one very easily. As long as the ghosts don't spawn in front of you, and you don't need to like walk through their pathing, they usually will not catch up to you. The blinded maiden is kind of an exception. She can pretty easily, but it's not a common thing. We're also going to do a little bit of an animation skip. Sometimes there are things in the game that kind of like scare Miku, but you can skip them if you're in your camera like this. So it falls and she gets scared, but we don't actually get stopped. We only use that in a couple of places, but it doesn't happen very often. Here we go, in the very first room of the game, and we find out that there's actually a secret corridor that we can get through using these masks. And once again, this is related all to the lore of the game that I'm not going to really get heavily into. A, because I don't want to spoil it, and B, there's not a whole lot of time again during this run to actually do it. And it's also very confusing, and I can definitely not do it justice. Right now, what we need to do is we need to unlock that door that we just passed, and we need to get 4 masks in order to do it. So I'm going to grab a sacred water. There are 2 main healing items other than the 1-up. There's the herbal medicine, which is like a green herb in Resident Evil. It only heals you a little bit. And then there is a sacred water, which essentially, again, is a first aid spray. Also, make sure if you are running this game, you do not accidentally go through that door, because it is a very long animation to do twice to go back. You will kill your run. Right. Oops, another blind maiden fight coming up. This is actually one of the harder ones. Okay, this is actually not terrible RNG. Oh no, it's bad. She's in the wall. Oh, she's gonna attack me. There we go, we got the block. Alright. Not a terrible fight. She is it's a very close-knit kind of area, and her attack is very difficult to dodge if you're not like really prepared for it. Go. So now we're actually going to be swapping films in order to fight the next guy. The reason we do this is he's one of the harder bosses, and he can be very difficult. So we're actually going to switch to the red film, the Type 74, and we're also going to see if we can upgrade our max value, which we can. The points that you get, usually you have enough to get the upgrades that you need. However, sometimes you might need to fight an extra ghost or 2 and use that at different points. So you do gotta manage and kind of keep track of your essentially your money. And the money is based off of like quick shots, you know, how close were you? Did you get a fatal frame, which is where they are about to attack you and you stop them with hitting them with your camera, stuff like that. So again, this is kind of like a boss fight, so I will be a little bit quiet during this, and hopefully it goes well. Oh. Not the best luck. He came up from behind. Alright. Not a terrible fight, but we did get hit, which isn't great, but not that big of a deal. so we have a little bit of time for the next one. So again, now's a good time to go get donations, but essentially what we're doing here now is we're putting all of these masks back. We're gonna use that mask. Oh, whoops, forgot to grab it from this door over here. That's all right. We're grabbing all of these masks, and what we're going to do is that's going to unlock the room we need to get, or we can get the blinding mask, and that's going to allow us to open the sacred chamber, which leads into Spooky Town, basically. I just want to mention Miku is doing all of this to find her brother, so can we give Miku some love for being like the best sibling ever, doing all this stuff to find her missing brother? I'm an only child, so I can't relate to it, but I don't know how many people would go through all of this to save their brother. Right. So again, the story reason for this room is that there's a lot of spooky stuff that goes down, but specifically there are 4 priests who essentially raised Kyrie, the girl, but they all wore these masks in order to hide their identity. The idea was essentially she was going to be a sacrifice, and that was kind of like her purpose, so they didn't want her getting too attached to anybody. Because the part of the ritual is that she can't get attached to anybody and leave this earth with regrets, otherwise the ritual will fail, and then really bad stuff will happen. And, you know, you can kind of guess from us fighting ghosts that the ritual probably failed, so... But if you remember that area that I mentioned regarding the really long ladders, that is the area that we are returning to now. But yeah, we only have 2 more fights during this night. Night 2 is actually the longest night in the game. Night 1 isn't too bad, and night 3 is pretty short. And the final night is also just basically like, I think, about 10 minutes, I would say, maybe 15. Actually, it's only probably about 10 minutes, yeah. Oh, that's bad luck. Yep, she spawns right there and kind of gives us a good old slap. I'm actually going to use a herbal medicine. We get 4 of those and then 4 sacred waters during the run. Thankfully, though, she doesn't follow us into this room. Oh, so we only had to fight 1 ghost at a time. And normally that's the case. Ooh, I'm going to get grabbed. Where are you, buddy? There you are. Oh, we got a quick shot. That's good. And then I'm actually going to save some of this. So I'm going to do, go here. This film. Oh, nope. Oh, he spawned behind me. Really bad fight. That's alright. Saving a little for the marathon safety. But there we go. That is, I believe his name is Lord Ryozo. He's the folklorist. Again, if we were playing the game casually, we would know exactly who that is. It's kind of cool because we actually find his notebook and a lot of his different notes before he became a ghost. So it's kind of cool to like read up all that and then to actually fight him. That's a very common thing with the enemies is, you know, they're not, most of them are not bad guys. They are people who are just, you know, cursed. Also, we're going to come out here. Oops. And we're going to upgrade range. And that's going to be the last upgrade that we get for the rest of the game. We could, if we were lucky, get 1 more max value or range, but you actually don't want it for max value because it'll throw off the final fight. And range, it doesn't help that much past the upgrade that we just got. that in. Oh, she spawned behind me. It's actually good when she spawns behind you, because that means that she's going to have a very... Oh, whoops. I got stuck on something. I got distracted. We actually almost got a quick shot there, but no worries. And there we go. That is the Blinded Maiden. She has, again, I think the most fights at 4. Sometimes she can be really annoying, but actually for this run, she was pretty decent. She wasn't terrible, so I'm very happy with it. Can we give a shout out to the Blinded Maiden? Also, we're going to be running into Kyrie once more, that really spooky ghost that turns everything gray. Normally the game wants you to run away from her, so we're going to try and run away as fast as we can so she doesn't catch us, and oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's fine. Fun fact, every single time except the last time that you fight her, basically, it's the game wants you to fight her. So the very first time I was playing this game and the third time that it happens, I was like, oh well, the 2 other times wanted me to get hit by her, so maybe I should just get hit by her again now. And she one-shotted and killed me, so that was fun. Also, this is the worst hallway in the game because these ghosts are the worst. They will dogpile on you because there are 3 of them, and they're really just, you just have to run past them. That was actually really unlucky, so I'm kind of nervous. They can honestly kill you here if you are not careful. So hopefully going back we're okay. It's really hard to see them. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, please leave me alone. Okay, alright. Definitely not like the best way to start this area, but we made it through. Again, sometimes they won't touch you one time, and then there we just got really bad luck and grabbed twice. We could have done more damage if we weren't lucky. Sometimes like enemies just won't grab you and do damage. Miku kind of jukes them. I'm not sure if it's like RE3 where there's a specific way to trigger it, or if it is something that is completely random, but it does happen occasionally. And I know what you're wondering, how is it possible to dodge a ghost or juke a ghost? And the answer to that is Miku is just a badass. There's not much more that needs to be said. Alright, so this is one of the more weird enemies in the game. This is Floating Face. He spawns in the wall, which is really annoying. Oh, there he is. Oh, I totally got him there. Oh, okay. This is really bad. Why are you hitting me? What is... Okay, this guy is acting very weird for this, and I don't know why. Please don't do this. Not right now, buddy. Okay, we should be okay now. What? Okay. I need to heal. This is very weird. He is acting not normal. Oh, come on, dude. Please, please stop. I have no idea what he's doing. Okay. That was really bad. I don't know what was going on there, but he was definitely giving me some weird patterns. Normally he's very slow and doesn't really try to attack you too much, but there he was just constantly hitting me. Again, that's kind of the thing with this game, is sometimes you just get really bad patterns with the ghosts. Thankfully we still have plenty of healing items and we're about to get another one. So I'm not too worried about that. It's annoying, but it's not run ending when it happens. Also, I don't know what the point of that door being locked was. Like, the answer to it is literally right here. But, yeah. Oh, okay, that's a very fun glitch when that happens. Basically, when the camera angle changes, the door is always closed. And since we accidentally changed the camera angle there, she didn't go through the door. Again, a very weird little thing to have happen, but it does occasionally. So that is Lord Himuru. He is essentially the, you know, guy who owns the estate, and he's not a very pleasant fellow. You don't learn too much about him. You do know that he is the owner of it and is basically the main guy for the ritual. He's also I would say, hardest boss in the entire game. He is very difficult and unrelenting. So again, I'm going to be very quiet during this fight. We had to fight him 2 times, which sucks. But this first one is pretty difficult. First though, we had to figure out this puzzle. This is kind of a callback to the puzzle that we do on night 1 with the headless Buddha statues. Essentially, we're connecting the ceremonial ropes. What's the purpose of this? I have no idea. Why can't you see the ropes? I also have no idea. I don't know what we're connecting them to. But yeah, we just got to do it to spawn him in and open this little cabinet, which gives us the carving in order to get into the house that we've been passing by outside a couple of times. So, once again, gonna be quiet for this fight. Hopefully it goes well. I'm gonna get hit there. That's okay, maybe. Okay. Alright, that was actually a very good fight. I will take that. Thankfully, we didn't take any damage. We were able to avoid his shots. Sometimes he can be really mean. But now we're actually going to switch back to the blue film, because we're actually going to be taking a lot of shots of things that are not ghosts. Once again, this is kind of the section of the game that is really annoying. So essentially it wants you to solve a puzzle. However, even though we know the answer to the puzzle, it still wants us to find the in-game solutions for them by fighting a bunch of ghosts. If we could just skip these ghosts, it would be such a better speed run, but sadly the game was like, nope, you have to do these. So essentially we're going to have 4 buttons here, and we have to press the buttons in the, like, we have 4 buttons here and 4 things that we need to push them into. We have to push them for each one. Now once us take a picture, it's going to send us to go fight a boss, and then we learn which one we are supposed to press here. We sadly cannot interact with them beforehand, so we can't just, you know, insert them even though I know the solution anyway, which is again very unfortunate, but what can you do? Oh, that didn't count. That was weird. Sometimes the game doesn't register shots even though you were like perfect for it. And again, you know, not to make a pun, but there's a lot of times where it feels like you were only a frame behind getting the shot. But yeah, alright. So now we have all 4 locations to solve these. And it's going to take us to the Headless Priests. They were people who were basically caretakers for Kyrie. Not the greatest people, and very annoying bosses. So hopefully this goes well. Even though they are all named the same enemy and they look similar, except for the last one, they all do have their own different patterns and fights to them. So once again, you know, you have to remember their patterns, you have to remember their attacks, you have to be able to react to them, kind of know what they're doing, all that stuff. Also, we get like one of the few unskippable cutscenes in the game, with each one as like their little intro. Ooh. This is really bad luck. He's gonna like follow me for a while. I can't hit him because he's not showing his head because he's a headless priest. Okay, now he's gonna try to attack me. Oh, goodness. Okay, we're gonna bait out an attack here. I'm gonna try to. Okay, nope, that's fine. Oh, that's really bad. Okay. We got a little bit of a glitch there. Oh man, he's being annoying. Again, that sometimes just happens with the ghosts. They just don't want to play ball, but that's alright. Thankfully, once again, we grab a lot of healing for safety. And also, thankfully, the first ghost right there is the most annoying one. So that's the first ghost. Thankfully, the second one is right here. So we don't have to go very far to get to him.
It's too bad, but it must be sealed.
Once again, these are like some of the harder fights, because again, they like to make their heads disappear. Which, if we can't see their heads, then we can't damage them. So gonna get a fatal frame right there to block that shot. Oh, I don't know why he was trying to attack again, but that works. Alright, so that is 2 down, 2 to go. The next one is going to be coming up here in just a moment. This one is actually was my least favorite of the Headless Priests, but I would say he's the second, my second favorite now, right behind the Headless Priest 2. Again, the ghosts don't have names. The names I've been calling them are like their official canon names, like Clock Boy, Girl in the Well. They weren't too creative with them. Long Arms is the official name. Some of them have their real names, like Tomoe and Takamine, but it's surprisingly not like a common thing.
Let the ritual begin. Bring along Kyrie.
This is the most annoying one. Come on. And there we go. We're a little bit low on health, but that isn't too bad. Thankfully, there actually aren't that many fights left to where we have a danger of like dying. It's really just this next area, these next couple of bosses, and we have 2 health points or health things for it, so we should be okay. But this is gonna be very scary. It's completely random, but essentially, nope. Check that. Thank you. Sometimes we will get 2 ghosts in this next room instead of 1. If that happens, we might be in trouble, because fighting 2 of them at once is very difficult, so really pray that we don't have anything here except the 1 ghost. Okay, we are good. We only have the 1 ghost. It's a very annoying 1 ghost. But yeah, it's still 1 ghost. This is probably like one of the bigger changed ones. For whatever reason, this ghost acts very different between the Xbox and the PlayStation version, and I don't know why. But there we go. Whew. Thankfully, we did not get that second ghost. The second ghost is actually the broken neck woman who's been chasing us throughout the game. Sometimes she will just be in this room and cause some problems for us. Finding 2 of them at once, again, is very difficult. The game wasn't really designed to do it very well. The second game is much more better with it. Also, this is going to be a missed opportunity for a code. 1347. Honestly, that wasn't very lead of them to not make it 1337. Here we go, we are heading over to the final Headless Priest. Oh, we got a little scare there, that's alright. Sometimes you can skip that one if you're close enough. This guy can be very good or very bad, so hopefully he will be very good, because I'm going to go into the final, or the big boss fight coming up. 2 HP. Alright, we're going to do a counter hit on him. We're going to do another one. I want to make sure I can still see his head, because sometimes we will get bad luck and it'll disappear. He'll like get blocked by the bamboo. This isn't that great of luck, but that's alright. That was a very safe fight and that went very well, so I'm not going to complain. It's right there, buddy. Your head's right there. Alright, though. So we have now defeated all 4 of the Headless Priests, and now Miku, quote-unquote, knows the answer to that box kind of puzzle. Another change between the PlayStation and the Xbox is they made this upcoming puzzle much, much easier than the PlayStation version. But in the meantime, we're going to be running to another area. Not going to be a whole lot happening on, so once again, a very good time for donations. All right, you ready for this solution? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the puzzle. Oh, whoa, I gotta turn around there. Again, that kind of happens when you're playing an analog control scheme. Here we go. We're coming up to, once again, Lord Himuro 2, the second hardest fight in the game. So, it's definitely a scary one. I also grab range there if I want to. It does help during this fight a little bit, and we don't really need the points later on, so if I have enough, then I'll usually grab it there. Hopefully we don't get any bad spawns though. Fun fact, if you defeat the broken neck woman along with the floating woman, if she does spawn there, she doesn't spawn anymore. Instead you get the 3 guys that we were fighting in that tunnel at the very beginning of this night. So that's also another bad thing, is sometimes they'll spawn here and block your way. But thankfully we didn't have anything like that. So I'm a little low on ammo. It's not the greatest, but there is a backup in this room if we need it, which hopefully we won't, but I'm going to grab it probably anyway.
The strangling ritual.
Ooh, that was a good block. Another good block. And we should just need one more. And there we go. I'm going to grab the extra healing for safety and the extra ammo, but that was a really good Lord Himuro 2 fight. The main thing about that is not letting him get too close and just really getting that timing down on his attacks. Because that's definitely the hardest thing in that fight, is kind of knowing it, because it's a game of patience. You don't want to fire too early, because if you do, then you're not going to have the right timing. And his actual attack looks like it's going to happen at a much earlier time, so you just got to really wait for it and hope for the best. Alright, so now we are heading towards the finale of this night, where we actually unlock another underground passage and kind of learn about how to defeat Kyrie, and also where Mifuyu is, because we haven't seen him in a while. But the TLDR of it is Kyrie fell in love with somebody, and Mifuyu looked exactly like that person. So that's why she has him captured. Which is good, because otherwise he would be dead. And Miku wouldn't like that. We're gonna grab another piece of the mirror. We almost have every piece. And we're heading into the final night. So this is gonna be where we assemble all of the mirror pieces and we save our brother. That's the idea, at least. But first we gotta play some music, which unlocks the door. That's what I always love about these kind of games, is you just get like the most randomest, like, okay, I guess that makes sense kind of situations. But we're coming up to another part that actually has some unique movement that isn't anywhere else in the game. And that's going to be some run stuttering. This is more common in Fatal Frame 2 in order to get up and down stairs faster. Here, however, it's essentially going to be a way of walking faster. Now, why aren't we running? And then the answer to that is because we are not trying to, or we're trying to avoid attracting a ghost and getting into another fight. If we are too loud, then it hears us. But if we do this, where she kind of just slides along, we don't interrupt the, or we don't annoy the ghost, and we don't have to fight it. We could walk here as we wanted to, but it is slower than just mashing the X button. There we go. Only place we use it, which is kind of a shame, but still nice to have at least. But yeah, this is where we would learn more about like the camera obscura, which is the web we've been using and what happened and all that stuff. Again, don't want to go into it too much. But we are going to be running into Kyrie. It's going to get very loud here in a second, and it's going to probably be eye hurting, so fair warning. Yeah, this is one of the sections where, like, if you are doing this casually and you are too slow, she will catch up to you and kill you. It's also an area where we get heavy slowdown that is kind of present on the PS2 version, but not as bad as this. But yeah, during the speed run, we don't have to worry about it. She's never going to catch up to us. You'd have to really mess up for her to kill you during the speed run here. Like I would almost say you'd have to be doing it intentionally. All right. So we are going to be running into some familiar enemies if you're doing this casually. We're going to be running into the Faceless Man and the Faceless Woman. I think that's their names at least. Pretty sure. But this is one of the areas, and pretty much should be the only time in this game you intentionally have to fight multiple enemies at once. Thankfully, it's not too big of a deal. But if you don't do this fight correctly, it can go very bad very quickly. Go. There is the first enemy. And this other one's gonna be flying around here. Where are you? There you are. Hey, how's it going, Faceless Woman? And that is down. So now we only have boss fights, and we only really have 3 more ghosts that we have to fight for the rest of the game. Or 3 more ghost fights, I should say. So, this is where we are going to be switching over to the Type 90 film. This is the rocket launcher of the game. This is a very high exorcismal powered film that we're going to be using. There we go. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. It makes this fight from extremely difficult to the easiest thing in the world. All right, we have one more enemy before the final boss. It's gonna be the same one that we just ran into right there. First hit, second hit, and third hit. Nice. All right, so now we are going to go to the final boss, Kyrie. Kyrie, we cannot do damage to unless we get a fatal frame shot, meaning we have to counter her hit. She doesn't do damage to us, but she one-taps us, meaning that she will just straight up murder you in the face. It is not very pleasant. So this is a fight that you can easily just get one shot and die on if she gets close enough. Her main thing is she will throw in projectiles, which are going to basically mess up your camera and make it hard to aim in with. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm going to concentrate here for a second. All right. Oof, we got it. Time is going to be coming up here in just a moment. But once you get that first shot on here, again, you'd have to be messing up pretty badly for you not to be able to finish this fight. So should be 1 or 2 more. And there we go. fight's done. The game is not over yet. We still have to do one more thing. We have to assemble the mirror and use it to show her for reflection and save Kyrie's soul and complete the ritual. And time is going to come up right now. And that is Fatal Frame 1. As you can see here, Kyrie is coming behind us. Oh no, Miku, watch out. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you actually enjoyed this run. I'd be very excited to show it off in a marathon. Not only is this game not very popular, but this version of the game isn't popular. And there we go. We saved Kyrie. We saved Mifuyu. Happy ending. Nothing else happens after. Totally not. But let's check our IDT time, because that is the time that we use to time it. A 1:18:14. I would say that is a pretty decent time for the run. But once again, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/demonicrobots. Also on Twitter, twitter.com/demonicrobot, singular, not plural. And yeah, I look forward to running this at a marathon hopefully soon. Have a good one.